Hey there, Boots Owen here. I'm with Andy Reynolds in Andy's workshop, which you may recognise from other videos. I've got the Solis back again that we looked at in a previous video. It's a Solis 3.6K-2G. And here's Andy's test setup where he's got a variac followed by an isolation transformer, which in effect steps up the voltage because it's run the other way around. So it, in theory, could do about 480 volts, depending on your input power, with a rectifier and a smoothing capacitor, and then some solar connectors on the end to go into the machine. I think, Andy, whenever I took this apart and put it back together again, one of the screws' nut is caught inside it, so we're going to have fun taking it apart.
I've got the impact screwdriver.
Excellent, okay.
Yeah, we'll give it some welly. But I think basically we ought to just plug this lot in and give it a whirl, just to show the fault.
Okay.
What do you reckon?
Yes, let's show the fault and then see if it can be fixed.
Right.
It was giving, well, I can't remember, it'll come up again, some kind of an error code. There we go.
Right, that one is, yeah, it's the negative. Good. Yeah,
Okay.
Which is black there. Always, 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 when you're dealing with solar, don't assume you've got the polarity right. Like last time we did a solar grid course in Brighton, I borrowed some panels, and they were two 30-watt panels, and they had strange connectors on the end.
Okay.
So we were putting them together with the attendees, and before I connected it to the grid inverter, I checked the DC polarity, on 5 panels, and the plugs were the wrong way around.
Lovely.
Yeah, so we had to chop the plugs off and start them again. Right.
So Andy's just plugged it all together. It's up to 80 volts. So it's in theory 160 volts, which should be in the range for this thing to start. And it's come on. 0 watts, and that's what happened before. So the green light should flash a bit, and then the alarm code should come on. It says initializing at the moment. And what it does, or what it did previously anyway, was it keeps initializing and then failing and then trying again.
We're on 209 volts.
Okay.
Ignore the minus, I've just
Yep.
got the tails the wrong way around.
It was OV volt or OV something like that. There, you can hear relays clicking. It says generating here.
Hey?
It says generating. Let's see what it cycles onto. Could have been that all my rough handling has. Well, it's on 0 watts. This doesn't look right. Could be that all the rough handling has reset some relays, but there's
it's
a relay.
dropped out again.
It still says generating. No, it's got OV bus, so that's the error. There's the alarm again.
The trusty Makita impact screwdriver with the hot glue. What did we do before we had these?
I think that's tough one.
That one's done. That one's not very good. That one's not very good.
Try that again there.
Yeah.
Get a big flat blade and put it underneath them and try and jack it out.
Hang on a sec. Yeah?
No, yeah, that's it.
Contact.
There's a washer in there that's small.
I've had.
Watch yourself.
Yeah. There we go.
Put do you have a pen? That's. Just put an X on it. Or a pencil or any old thing. Just to.
What on that?
Just cross it off so that we're not putting anything back in there.
Yeah.
That's it.
They're appalling quality.
It's bent as well as everything else.
Yeah.
This one, I think the nut has gone off it or something.
Go on, you old devil.
We've lost the head there, have we?
Yeah. And those ones, we can't use an impact driver on those.
Yeah.
Do we need them all grips?
For that thing, no, I think we need to cut it off or chisel it off. It seems to be soft enough stainless. If you had a little cold chisel, it might come off. Oh, that
Right.
might do it.
Go on, you devil.
It's not far off.
Cold chisel.
Yeah.
I can't remember which drawer they're in.
A small one.
Hammer.
Yep. This is how the Solis manual says to do it, isn't it?
Is that right? Yeah.
It's aluminium beneath. Doesn't help. Oh, cut.
You don't mean aluminum then?
I don't know. What the devil is going on there?
I tell you what we'll do.
Oxyacetylene. Gas flame.
My favourite tool. Here we go.
Oh yes. Oh yes. I wonder will they lift up if we get the other ones out, because it might not be attached at the back.
I think we'll cut it off. Yeah?
Yeah.
Mind your eyes. There we go.
Might pop off. When you have no respect for something, when you no money sunk in something, you don't worry too much about it. I think that's what
right.
it is.
Well, it's like, if it's broken, then we can't make it any worse. Oh, you've done it. Excellent. So there's this heat sink and you've got to get the screws off that go through the heat sink. Obviously, the screws are not really meant to be undone. Because
that's an idea of description of it.
that's right. The heads are in the screws. The axle is so shallow, and it's only pressed, and it's just appalling.
Some kind of soft cheese.
Well, yeah. Although, as we saw, it took a fair bit to. The cold chisel wouldn't.
It flips up
split
to
that.
you or to me. I don't remember which way.
I don't
To me.
remember which way either.
Now it's bent over.
Is it being a pain?
Come on from the other end.
With a bigger chisel.
Out. Good.
Well done.
Blow the dust off it there first, I think.
There we go. Without breathing in first. Now I can't remember.
Yeah,
Up like that, is it?
Rather, I might have to bring it down
That's looking good. Okay.
You have plugged it out, eh?
Yes, we have. It's not live. Now that one there. I hope you're enjoying this live comedy show. We'll undo that one there. I think that'll be grand. That's your input.
Yep.
I need my other glasses on. Now, remember last time we saw those Zettler relays, exactly the same as in an Aurora. So I'm just going to undo the screws on this board and flip it over, and we're expecting to find a burnt pin on one of those relays, but maybe not.
In your previous video you had a different arrangement on the board. That's the only thing I remember, because I looked at that video before we did this, and the shape of the board was slightly different. The shape was the same, the arrangement was different, I think.
Is that right? Maybe this is a 4 kilowatt one?
This is 4 kilowatts or 3.6, and it's a 2G model, so it might be an older one.
Right.
Or a different size. Could be anything.
Right, so we'll have that board off.
Here in the center. We lick our fingers before we touch the capacitors, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Everybody seems concerned about capacitors. And
They are, aren't they?
That's it off, right?
Right, look, can you take a photo of that?
What I would do...
That's ground.
Where's that pen gone, Andy?
That's B+. They'll have those
Little stupid things on.
Yes.
B+.
The grounds is...
They're ground, they're just the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's L3A. Coming off. You can slide, the silicone thing just slides up.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless they put them the other way round. The little feckers. This side.
Is it?
Yeah. And that one I haven't got a clue. Grand.
Okay, let's hope that right one stays on.
Oh. There. Right, well done. Right, here we go. Whoa.
Steady.
That wasn't a capacitor. Looky there.
So you can see the white relays in these cutouts here, 4 of them. So 4 white relays, 1, 2, and then 3, 4. But this one over here looks a little bit brown with a pit in the middle. So that says it got hot at some point, so we would start there, I'd say, Andy.
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll scrape all the varnish back off the board, get the big soldering iron out, just clean it all up with a bit of flux and re-solder that. But it could be that the contacts in that particular relay are not contacting properly, so it's a build-up of heat. But it could also be that this inverter has been installed in a loft. Crazy idea. Install a really nice high-tech bit of equipment in a very hot environment. So, and you go, oh, there's insulation, but we're not talking about heat from down. We're talking about middle of summer, the sun's burning down, and the solar panels are working like mad, and the inverter's roasting. Anyway, let's have a look at this. This has got varnish on it. And what we want to do is we want to spread the contact area as much as possible.
So that whole plate, even though there's other bits coming through, it's all the one contact,
It's all, yeah.
the one connection. So if we're cutting across other pieces of solder and that, it doesn't really matter. It's not, we're not joining up like on a very detailed board. It's not like cutting these tracks here. This is all one big trace, and that's one big trace where Andy's working.
I reckon the heat has come from the contact, not from the actual joint.
I don't think that joint's burnt out. It's, the one you showed in a video had a hole in it.
Yes. So the heat has come down the pin from the relay. So ideally, we really would want to replace this relay by heating that up and using a sucker to remove the solder there, as in there and there.
Yeah.
Those are the coils. Those are the contacts. But we're going to solder this anyway, because it's a proof of concept. And then we can hack the top off the relay
And see if we're off, yeah.
with violence. We're just waiting for this big nasty soldering iron to heat up.
Is the extension cord live, or if you switched it off on the wall?
It's live.
Okay.
But we'll just get it really nice and hot. That way it just sort of does the business straight away. Yeah, so the amount of comments I get on my Aurora Fix videos, it's just phenomenal. They're from all over the world. Australia seems to be a favourite. And they have this, if you look on YouTube, in Australia they have Gold Coast Solar or something. And they're about as much use as a poke in the eye with a pointed stick.
I think that's where I wound up looking at this inverter, that they show that the fault exists, but then...
Return to manufacturer.
Yeah, and it's basically an advertisement for them to take the thing off you, but that's all right if it's half the battle.
This is
not hot yet.
Not hot enough yet.
And it's tricky because, you know, if it's a warranty repair, they'll just give you a new box. It's not worth their while to sit down and engineer taking the thing apart, because I don't know what they make them for, but I'm sure it's a lot less than they sell them for.
Well, if you're an engineer, right, and you fix something, then you have to guarantee it, and you're liable for faults or even burning somebody's house down. Whereas if it's a new return from the manufacturer or a new bought,
there's
the
no
engineer's
liability.
got no responsibility.
But on the other hand, it's good to fix things.
Definitely. And this is the beauty of YouTube. Come on, you wee devil.
The iron's hot. It's not jumping across yet, though. Yeah, you're gonna
It's getting there. Go on, in there.
There it is.
Do you reckon we've got enough solder on that?
I don't know if it's... yeah, it's beaded up on it anyways.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I reckon that's
It
grand.
looks like it's not sitting on top. It's
No.
It's made of
Yeah.
contact. Okay.
Yeah, it's just we got a little bit more than is perhaps entirely necessary. Okay, it's all back together. So we put variac down to nothing.
Yep.
Good. Put mains into.
So the inverter's plugged in.
Yeah, and then plug the variac in and whack it round to about 75.
There you go. It's kicking up. So we'll see what happens. I'll turn it off for now.
30th of the 7th.
It's on for the date, I think, is it, or is it a day out?
It's the 30th.
Yeah.
It's timed slightly wrong by 2 hours.
There's a relay.
Got some clicking.
Still on 0 watts.
I can hear something. It says generating.
You're getting excited. I think it's the same as it was before.
Well, maybe.
It said generating before. It's still on 0 watts now.
Yeah, but I can hear something happening.
Can you hear it humming?
It's humming.
Yeah, it wasn't humming before.
It's putting the load onto. That's dropped out.
Now is the alarm going? There's the yellow alarm light
Yeah.
on.
So therefore, that now we're gonna get violent with that relay.
And that's OV bus flashed up again.
Right. Okay.
So we'll get back into it and get the cold chisel out.
Get the Dremel out. Okay, Owen insisted on marking the relay, which is grand. So now we get the Dremel out, and I don't know whether I've shown this before, so let's just switch the Dremel on. Don't go too far, don't go too deep with it. Right.
There it is. Happy days.
You saw it here first. Here we see the violence inherent in the system. That is the contact there. Have you got that?
Yeah, you can see it moving.
Grand. So we need to bend something.
Let's just see if we can see any. It's hard to get it to focus up so close. Slide it in and out again. Just see is there any colour on it. I don't see that it's burnt particularly. But
I don't think, if you look there, that is going up against the centre of the solenoid, and I can see from this side some burning.
ah, okay.
Can you get it to focus a bit more? You see there's some burning in the middle of that contact.
There's no particular issue with leaving the cover off the thing if it's
Of a relay?
Yeah.
No. I had some Egypt say, oh, if you take the covers off relays, they explode. And I'm thinking, geez, what a half-wit.
It's yeah, the explosion thing's a bit strong, isn't it?
It's more than strong, it's plain stupid.
We have been licking our fingers before we touched all the capacitors every time we've opened this.
And why would you want to do that? To make things exciting. Right. Okay, this is quite a hodgepodge of a video, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that somehow. Let me just get this relay is behind the moving contact, this relay screwdriver, and that one. So I've just bent that contact.
I think we should run it with the top open now, you know?
Do you think so? I
Yeah.
think we should. Just for
funsies.
fun. But the
And we'll put the cable back on. We'll
the
put it back.
display is there.
Yeah, so we'll have to come around. Well, the display is going to say what it was going to say last time if it's not working.
Right.
We'll see the contactor working, or the relay
So
working.
hopefully you saw that I bent that contact rather severely. It's perhaps just a bit too much, but that's good. Yeah. Because it's making contact with its other contact before this plate here touches the middle of that solenoid. And you've got to have a bit of spring there so that it makes contact and then the solenoid pushes some more. So it's pushing those contacts together. Because if they're not, then you'll get arcing. And look, the top of this here, which is holds the contact, the fixed contact, it's blue. Yeah? So the heat has come from this side, not from the solder joint.
I have a feel of that just to, whoops, hit it like that, yeah. There's quite a good bit of resistance on there. It's not light, yeah.
You really want those contacts to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's put this back in here.
The peg goes towards you.
Yeah. There we go. Snapped in. We'll have to figure it out to get the cables back on that. We'll do that.
I'm going to video the contactor.
So take the Dremel out. Which one first?
Doesn't matter.
Oh, we've got the voltage down to 0 anyway on that.
So mains is connected. Now we're connecting the variac. Put it up to
80?
no, a bit less.
60?
There.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so
that's waking up, and it's wide awake, and it'll take 30 seconds or so from experience. Then we should hear some clunking, so I'll try and...
on it.
Tell me if I get in the way there.
I will do. Right. I'm recording now. On some of these, it tells you the countdown time.
There, it's opening and closing.
It's difficult to see this screen. It doesn't have a backlight.
It does if you touch it, but it's a bit precarious there. Touch the button, press a button.
Any button?
Enter, probably.
Oh yeah. Well, something's happening. It says generating.
Has it got a...
And it's got a... I don't know what colour that light is, but it's operation light.
No, it's still on 0 watts.
It's still on 0 watts at the moment.
Yeah.
But let's just see. Oh no, there we go. 23.
Oh, okay.
How do we get into the...
It'll cycle through it itself.
Yeah.
If you press enter, it should come around, maybe.
Ah. There we go. 130. Oh, that's volts.
Yeah, but it's the current coming out there, 0.06 on the DC. It sees that this time. And there's...
Oh, we're going to go 69 watts, and I'll press lock, so that's locked now.
You've turned it, it's gone to the other one. Yeah, there it is, it's locked now.
So 92 watts, so it's working.
And that's it, by the looks of things. So that relay was falling out previously. That was just the second clunk we'd hear a few seconds later, but now it's just staying put.
Because it made a proper contact, and the machine went, oh, I've made a proper contact, so therefore I'll keep working. Whereas previously it was a tenuous contact which it couldn't sustain.
That's it then, it's working. So we'll leave this here for a bit, but it's presumably just fixed now. That's that. I'm not sure if I'm going to even bother putting a new one in there.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, it'll work. I'm not going to sell it. I'm only going to use it for myself at home as a backup, so I'm not too worried about these things. If anybody's worried about it going on fire, well, then the issue is that that has already happened, and we haven't made it any worse. And if it was to explode, it would be locked inside an aluminium box, which should probably hold the fire of a tiny contact. I'm not too worried about it. I'm quite happy with it, really. Any questions or comments, leave them below. Check out Andy's channel. He does this somewhat more comprehensively than I have so far. I'm only setting out on a pathway to greener energy, but Andy's been doing it for a year or two.
For most of my life. Just here, there is a...
That's live, that board, you know.
That's fine. Yeah. You see this one there? Is it an Omron?
Yep.
That's a different relay, and that came out of a fairly modern Aurora. So you don't have to get the Zettler ones.
What similar pins is it?
It's exactly the same.
Okay.
But Omron, I thought they were a bit better, that's all.
Is that one missing a pin, or is it?
It has missing. When I desoldered it, that pin pulled out, which was a right pain. But there you go.
So that would fit. So it's
that's the same.
G8P-1A4P-BG.
You've got good eyes.
This youth is on my side. And the Zettlers that are in it, if you can see that, AZ, I can't read that now, AZ2150W-1AE-12DEF. There we go. Questions or comments, stick them below. Thanks for watching.
Here we see the violence inherent in the system.
See you later. So while we're in here, before I put it all back together, this is the stud, the nut stud This thing is still live. So on the inside, that's what the screw goes into that got stuck, and this is the stuck one. It should be kind of crimped on. It doesn't look welded. It has some kind of a knurl on it or something. That's fallen out when the screw was put back in, and then the screw got stuck in it. It might have been misthreaded. It doesn't look it from there. One way or the other, the nut end fell out, and then the screw just spins, so you can't get it apart without that little bit of bending and violence. And
the Dremel.
And the Dremel, of course, yeah.
Always a Dremel. I use it more often now than you would think.
Yeah.
Because it's such a small little grind wheel, you get into little places. So if you see one at a boot sale for half nothing, have it.
Absolutely. But this then, you know, we've knackered the IP rating. These things could be used outdoors underneath the solar panel thing on solar farms and that, remotely from any kind of indoor station. But not in this condition. So that little strip of rubbery stuff there, you could probably gob it up with silicone if you were going to use it outside. I'm just not going to use it outside, and that problem disappears.